Good morning. I'm Realtor Tom, and I'm with Amanda Murray, who has helped me write my book, Best-Selling Options in a Divorce. Amanda, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Amanda's done a lot of work with me on this book. Pretty much, I'd say the first 3 chapters, you answered a lot of questions for me that made it easy to write this book. So this book, Best-Selling Options in a Divorce, a kind of a guidebook of maybe things you should do when you're faced with that situation. So we'll just start by Amanda. Have you ever written any books or anything like that before on this subject?
I've not, although I work with it every day, but I've not actually put pen to paper in this kind of capacity. I write every day. I'm writing people's stories almost every day, communicating to the courts and what have you. But for leisure reading, this was a first opportunity.
So it's pretty important to probably have a mediator or lawyer help you along with the divorce battle. I know you said to me when I first started talking to you that probably I should have put the word separation in the title of the book. Can you maybe elaborate on why I should have did that?
So you can be divorcing and separating and dividing your matrimonial home, but you can also be common law. And so in common law relationships, there is not the same entitlement or automatic entitlement to marital property as there is with the legal title of being married. So anytime that you're in any sort of relationship, sometimes even business relationships, if you're separating any assets, particularly a home, it is very good to reach out to professionals who can guide you through those things that you need to think about, things that you wouldn't know you need to know until you're in it and someone goes, well, did you, or what about? Don't forget. Sometimes it's too late. So it's good to spend that little bit of extra time and money in advance to reach out to the professionals, such as a mediator or lawyer who can help you navigate dividing those assets.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, so then I'm thinking separations, there's probably a lot more things to worry about in separations now than in the past. With the price of real estate being so high, there's probably a lot of couples that don't get married, but they do buy a house together because, well, we're not ready to get married, but if we're going to live together, we've got to invest in this big asset and do it together. So there's probably a lot more of that now, would you say?
I would, yeah. Definitely people do not get married, legally married, as often, as years in the past. It's quite common to own to own a home jointly, whether you're married or not. But as soon as you put your name on that asset, you need to realize that that is a joint asset. And also, if you're not legally married and living with someone, what is your entitlement to that home? If you live with someone in a home that's only owned by one person for a number of years, well, what happens when that relationship isn't working? So those are the sorts of things. It's not even just separation, but also going into a relationship. You want to know.
So I'm going to hit you with a curveball then. So, forgive me, but people should also, I guess, know before they even buy a house, they might want to talk to somebody like you. What are the differences between joint ownership or tenants in common?
Yeah.
Can you touch on those?
Yeah,
quickly?
So tenants in common are, again, both people are on the deed, and if one person should pass, then the other person gains ownership of the home by right of survivalship. Whereas tenants in common, it is registered on title differently so that your share of the asset, whether that be 50% or otherwise, will always be your share. And should you pass, it will go to your estate.
Mm-hmm. So probably in a common law situation, you'd want it that way.
Not always. But you just want to know what you're getting into, right? So talk to somebody and plan so that, 5 years later or 20 years later, and you think that something is yours to be shared, may not be. So plan.
So you've touched on that. It's more common now to use mediators instead of lawyers. Why would that be better to use a mediator than a lawyer?
I'm not discounting lawyers. There's definitely a right time and place.
Well, of course, you work in a lawyer's office too, right?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely have their purpose. But I do mention in mediation that especially if you've got a somewhat amicable relationship with the person who you were married to or living with or have children together, specifically if you have children, this is someone that you are going to continue to have in your life forever, whether you want that or not. Children just make that happen. So there are high school graduations and the first day at college and college graduations and then children. So that partner is more likely than not going to still be in your life in some capacity for a very long time. And so why not make things work? Why not sit down with that person in a mature situation, have someone who can help the conversation move forward and deal with the things that need to be dealt with. It's not a matter of whose fault or whose blame. It's okay, it is what it is, and we need to plan and work for what our new relationship is going to be going forward, because there is going to be some sort of capacity of ongoing communication.
Yeah, I guess it's probably always good to have someone to talk to help two people, two groups, union mediation, so on and so forth, as long as it's not a in-law mother or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's probably also monetary benefits to using a mediator over than just going straight to the lawyer and getting the guns out.
Yeah, I would say so. There's a reason that there's lawyer jokes and people are paying a lot for their lawyers. But this way you're paying one professional to assist you both. And the idea of mediation is dialogue and getting it done. So I'm not looking to draw it out. I don't benefit by drawing it out. So there's more in it for the mediator to help people come to a resolution. My biggest referral base is people who I've helped. They've referred me again. So there's something to be said about a joint monetary benefit.
And you really hit it on the nail on the head. Both parties would have to have their own lawyers.
Yeah.
And that becomes costly.
It does.
If things are paperwork's going back and forth, ideas are going back and forth. As I know, things don't always work as fast with the lawyer's office. Regardless, Okay, that's good. So that's great stuff. Is there anything you wanted to ask me?
I'm curious. People always look at their biggest asset, the matrimonial home, and think, I need to get out of here. So I'm finding that a lot of people, after separating, reach out to real estate agents. So do you find the same thing? Are people coming to you before they've really ironed out the details?
It seems it doesn't matter what the situation is, first-time buyer, thinking of buying, thinking of selling, they always jump to the realtor first instead of, if it's a regular situation, they should maybe talk to a mortgage broker first. And in a divorce or separation situation, they should talk to probably a mediator first. Although a lot of people want to jump to the talk of money. So sometimes the problem I get is now I'm stuck in the middle of something that has just happened. Let's say a husband or a wife wants me to come over to assess the home, and I can kind of tell on the phone what's going down. Either there's a separation because they're asking for a letter. And then so in this business, sometimes if you're the first one in the door, you're not going to be the agent in the end. So it's tough to get in there right at the start, because whoever called you, the other one is probably not going to automatically want to trust you because they think that I was siding right away. So it would be better if they went to a mediator first, because then they could, let's say, calm down probably a bit.
So if you have that again in future, if someone's, if you're the first touch for people, let them know, give them my name, because that's a part of what we talk about. We sit down and say, okay, you want to sell the house. What is the price that you're looking to get? What if we get a good offer? What if we get a bad offer? What's going to be the tiebreaker? So I can actually help some of your clients work out those details before the sign goes on the door.
Yeah, and that being said, that's these books. I can give them to people if they try and come to me first, and Amanda would be a great person to talk to about that, and vice versa. Let's say you're listening to this and maybe you're not comfortable with talking to a realtor. You could get a book off Amanda because she's going to have her own copies to give out too also.
There's also some really helpful information in the book that you wrote talking about, what's the niche and how to get the attention that your listing needs, and little details like not giving away to other agents that it's a separating situation. So there is lots of good information that I do agree with in your book.
That is super important. Loose lips sink ships. That's a famous saying from World War II. But whenever you're thinking about selling a home, and whether it's a separation or divorce, don't let everybody know your business. Because when people know your business, they can use it against you. Your neighbor who loves you and you've been friends for years, their son may want your house. And as soon as they find out there's a problem, they might come and make you an offer that might not be fair, or they'll use it against you in negotiations. It's just human nature. Everybody wants a deal. Right. Nobody wants to pay full price. So you be careful what you say to people, or be careful how you say it. And usually it's best to talk to maybe someone first about what you should think about saying to people, or talk to me about how should I go about telling people what's going on. And I say never lie. So the truth would be, we would like to move. And that's about all people need to know. It's time to move. Where do you want to go? Well, first we'll have to see how much your house sells for. And you should also get into not talking to people about your house, and keep it very short and simple.
Those pieces of advice all sound like experience talking.
Over 20 years, yeah, I own my own brokerage, so yeah, I'm quite a good negotiator, and I can find. I mean, you could go through a house, and here's a little tip. If you're going to separate, don't put all the man's clothes in the basement, because that automatically tells you you're not sleeping in the same room. And where does that thought go to? It might be because you're a shift worker.
Yes.
And that's a perfectly honest answer. But if I see your clothes in the basement, I'm going to think there's a separation, and then that means pressure that I can use for buyers for negotiation. So be careful how you paint your picture.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, it's been really nice to have you, Amanda.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming over. I appreciate all the help you've given me on this book, and best wishes to both of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.